Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
Well, this is a little awkward here, but we've got a situation brewing already. Moments before we started, a situation developed here. I want to make sure everybody's okay. We were just talking about the Hall of Fame weekend. Years ago, Phantom and I used to debate the Hall of Fame candidacy of, I think it was Dwight Howard. And
I've come around.
Right.
I listened to the numbers,
There was a time when you were not necessarily a big James Worthy's a Hall of Famer guy. That's fine. But
that was a long time ago.
So just before we start, Phantom says, well, I don't know about Reggie Miller. And, I mean, are you okay? That was a rough one for you, wasn't it?
I couldn't get my breath.
Yeah, let's. Yeah,
I keep doing that.
I don't know why I want to turn you on.
He was that upset.
Well, I know, but his take is going to be so crazy. I don't know if I should have turned his mic on.
Reggie Miller, not a Hall of Famer. I'll be darned.
That's not what I said. I said Reggie Miller. I'm not all about the Reggie Miller hype. So I'm saying I know he scored a lot of points. He played a lot of games. Come on. I mean, he scored 15 points in 3 seconds or whatever it was that one time.
Yeah.
You throw that out, Jerry, I don't know if he's in the Hall.
Yeah, really, being the best player on a couple 60-win teams, that probably shouldn't count. Basically, being maybe one of the greatest clutch shooters of all time, we throw that out too.
Right. Clutch shooter, what did he ever win? He didn't win anything.
Well, nobody got
the finals.
The Indiana Pacers had the best record in the league a couple of different times.
Because of Reggie Miller.
Indiana Pacers.
They had the Davis boys. They had all kinds of great players.
They had some awfully good teams. They did.
Yes.
They did. That's for sure. And I would say that Mr. Miller had a friggin' role in that.
Okay, I'm saying, and I did
Mention
say
the Tayshaun Prince block.
I did say
Yeah,
he
there
belongs
again.
in the Hall of Fame. I think he's on a tier or a pedestal that I don't think he should be on. I don't think he's in the greats of the greats like he is put up there.
So you think he's a Hall of Famer, but you think he's somehow overrated?
He's in the Hall of Fame, but
you think he's overrated?
Yes, I think he's overrated.
Well,
yes.
now, you'd have to tell me where he's rated first.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I've never heard anybody say he's in the top 10. Have you?
Yeah.
No, not the top 10.
Or 20?
Reggie Miller. Oh, Reggie Miller. The guy played a million games, so he
How
scored
much
a million
room do you
points.
have back there to back up
I
what
got
you've
a
been
lot of
saying?
room. I'm just saying.
Do you think he's better than?
Okay, here we go. Now this is fair.
Okay. Is he better than Mitch Richmond?
Yes.
Okay.
But very narrow, not all around. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. Obviously, that's important. So is Mitch. Mitch is better, I would think, defensively. But yeah,
I thought he should have answered that more quickly. That's
geez.
an
Oh,
wait a
easy
minute,
one.
where did you
That's
come
an
off?
easy one. But
This-
you guys go ahead.
This is our argument. You stay out of it.
That was an
All
easy
right,
one. Mitch
that's
Richmond
a good
or
one.
Reggie
Give me-
Miller.
give me another one.
Well, I would, but
Reynolds
if
Rolodex.
you're going to take on gas like that, my God.
I'm just saying he's not all that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, well, I'd say, I think he's probably had a better overall career than Chris Mullin. I think he had a better overall career than, say, Tim Hardaway. They're
Okay, I'll
and
give
they're
you
all
that.
very deserving
Well-
of their status in my mind. And I say, I don't know what status you've put Reggie in, but in my mind, he's probably a top 30 to 40 guy that's ever.
Let me try to help you out.
Maybe give you 40.
Let me try to help you out.
All right.
I think you
Okay.
are a little bit anti-Reggie Miller because you don't like Reggie Miller, the broadcaster.
I
By the
don't.
way,
I
he's
do not.
much better than he used to be. But I think you're letting that color your perception of Reggie Miller, the player who was, I would say, ahead of his time, the way he made threes. If he played in today's NBA, woo!
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with your first point. I do have to turn off the TV when he's broadcasting.
Reggie Miller ahead of his time
Yeah.
a little bit with the three ball. Yeah, if he played.
think he was.
He was a good early 3-point shooter, but I don't know if that makes you ahead of your time. I mean, he was a good shooter of the 3-ball. I don't know if I'll put him up with a Steph Curry or somebody like that, or many of today's shooters.
I don't recall anybody doing that.
Okay, I'm just trying to say.
But he was the guy before Steph Curry.
You maybe don't have Steph. You didn't have Reggie before him.
Exactly right. Reggie
I think we would've had him. I think we'd have
opened
been
the
fine.
door for Steph,
did.
didn't
We had
He
Pete
did.
Maravich. We had all the guys in the ABA. They could shoot threes. It was Reggie Miller
They
didn't
actually
invent
didn't.
the
Like
threes.
Rick Barry, when he played in the ABA, his 3-point numbers were terrible. You think,
Rick
oh,
Barry's not
3-point
the
shot,
guy
he'd be
I'm-
great.
Yeah, Rick
yeah.
Barry's no. That's not
Guys
the guy
didn't
you-
shoot the three very well in the ABA because they weren't supposed to.
but
really.
they had fun. And
Yeah,
that's what,
yeah.
what it's all about. Yeah,
and Pete didn't even get a play.
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, he
With
still
it.
shot the ball from long distance.
Well, he shot it
He
from
didn't get
three.
the extra.
He just
didn't get
didn't
the
get-
extra credit.
he
Sure, I
didn't
give you
get-
that. I give you that. All right. Well, I would stay with
No,
Reggie.
go ahead. I'll give you
between
your-
the 40
yeah.
and 50. I'll keep him. I'll get him in the top 50, but barely. I'll get him in that 40 to 50
Well,
range.
I'll go back to my original point, which I thought was quite accurate.
Well, then you usually do.
Well, how can you say he's overrated if you don't tell me where he's rated?
Okay. All I'm saying is he's rated. In my mind, he's not as good as other people think he was.
Why not?
That part would be
'Cause I
accurate.
don't- I
'Cause
think
I
all
think
he
he's
did
really
was-
good. Do you think he's really good?
Yeah.
All he did is
Okay.
shoot the ball. He's a shooter, okay? And if you look at his, 18 points a game for his career. I don't think that's outstanding. That's not incredible. That doesn't make him one of the all-time greats. He played a long time, and he shot the ball a lot. Okay, that's great. He was a good scorer. Great. He's in the Hall of Fame. Great. I don't think he's all that.
Have you ever heard the term when you're in a hole, quit digging?
No, not till now. I'm not. You guys are throwing dirt on me over here. Come on.
Boy.
I just
Okay.
have one
Well,
player I don't think is
yeah.
all that, and I've offended both of you, and I apologize for that.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, the thing
going
is
to
it's-
hold my
Well, no,
theories about other players.
He's not Michael Jordan or Bird or Magic or
No.
or Kareem or.
I don't think he's even
There
Well,
was
the
no
next
picnic
level.
for Michael when he had to guard him, though.
Michael had a tough time guarding him. Yeah.
Okay, so the Reggie Miller Appreciation Society was meeting today at 10 o'clock. I was not aware.
Well, I'm having a hard time. I'm not clear where you are in Reggie. I know you have some issue with Reggie, but the
I have
more
issues.
we try to find out what that is,
That's fair to say. I
I
have issues with Reggie.
I don't know what
always
they
thought
are.
He was a little too celebrated as a player. And then you're right. I have to admit you're right. Once you throw in the announcer thing, and he kind of rubbed me the wrong way in that sense. And that should not color his performance as a player. I know, but I'm a human being.
well,
I know I'm Mr. Batsman, but I'm a human being.
You are human.
That
You
thing
are
does
human.
affect me. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm human.
Did your perception of Jerry the coach change after you saw Jerry the broadcaster?
No, I always liked Jerry. Come on.
I'm
Jerry's
just a
part of-
question.
Hey, come on.
It's
I'm a
just
national
a
season
question.
ticket holder. I'm over there watching Jerry fall apart, fall down, faint. I don't care. I love the guy.
I'm starting to have second thoughts on Reggie now.
See? I knew he'd come around. I knew it. I knew he would come
I
around.
feel strongly both ways.
You know, he was a great player, but just as a broadcaster, didn't cut it. Was our boy, bless him, C-Webb. He
Yeah,
just, to me,
true.
as a broadcaster, I just felt like he was always trying to be something that he was not.
Right, the authenticity wasn't there. He probably,
And he would talk like this all the time, then make a point, and end it like this.
now, did they give him enough instruction? Did
I don't
they help
know.
him? That's the thing. Did they, or they'd say, no, we got to let C-Webb be C-Webb.
I don't
That's
know.
why we hired him.
Yeah.
So let him go.
Bless him. It
Yeah.
seems to me,
Bless
Jerry,
him.
that some guys, they try to become broadcasters because they know it's going to improve their Hall of Fame chances. I think we've seen that, especially in the NFL.
That's very true.
Yeah, well, I think there's some truth in that, and they get paid a lot of money. Don't
That's
forget
true.
That.
Yeah.
There's the whole,
That-
there's the whole
that-
paycheck
forgotten
thing that's
that.
helpful too.
Yeah,
I
when
guess
the-
he wouldn't worry about that, Jerry. That's
Probably
not a
not.
problem for him.
But
No.
I mean, yeah,
People
when
get
they-
paid for
yeah,
this?
yeah.
when the career is over and they got a national gig coming,
Yeah,
and of course that's kind of I always say those national jobs are pretty much like flavor of the month. It's like. It's like a Chris Webber becomes a somebody else, that becomes some Vince Carter becomes a Grant Hill, whatever, and sometimes they, hit on it, and then there's some flavors they ought to kind of move off of, Van Gundy, Jackson, try to find another flavor somewhere along in there.
Stan or Jeff? Which way are you going, Van Gundy's? Van Gundy showdown as a broadcaster.
I'm gonna start another. I like them both. I like the Van Gundys. I think they do a good job. Now I know
You still wanna sit by
Stan is not. You get him out of Kinko's here in Sacramento. I know there's a problem there, but I still enjoy listening to both of them because I think they are authentic.
Yeah,
You know,
I
whether
agree. I agree
whether
with
you
that.
like what they are, I think they are authentic, and I like to get in that perspective.
I like Jeff to a degree better than Mark. I mean, I don't know that Mark adds much personally.
Right.
Not saying I think
You
he
mean
probably-
Stan? You like
No,
Jeff?
Mark Jackson.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm
But
sorry. Yes,
say Jeff by himself when he's doing games without.
Oh,
Of course,
okay.
I don't like three people boosts in basketball. To me,
Three
it's just,
people shows as a concept doesn't sound right to me.
It doesn't. No,
It really don't.
You
I
don't-
think two
if
people
you
could
can
probably do it.
Well, if you can do two in baseball and,
Yeah,
guys.
and
sure,
and football,
absolutely.
Come
Can
on.
I just hang out for the
Why
rest
do
of
you
this
need
one?
three? Wait, well, because you're Jerry's ride.
Well, no. Let me explain. Three in the studio. That's different.
Studio show.
Studio shows.
Absolutely.
Very different.
Yeah.
I think you probably, because that's all bull crap, as we're all
And
proven.
we need all three of us to do that.
As we're all
Yes.
proven.
Can we change the name of the show? That's all bull crap?
Yeah. Old-fashioned bull crap.
Old fashioned 3: that's all bull crap.
Anytime I hear any sport, it's the pregame show. I realize you've got nothing.
Yeah.
You're just going to tell me
I'll
what
watch
might happen.
when the game starts. I'll watch,
Yeah.
but the pregame show is
Yeah.
just
Well, I
typically
can say,
worthless.
as an experienced person with
Yeah.
a few
Yes,
years,
here you
a
go.
couple of years experience
That's
on
right. That's right.
the pre and post game
I didn't mean
shows.
anything.
Hey, nothing personal.
No, well,
Who's your favorite now? Because I think
No, I'm with him 100%.
he didn't like you. He said he didn't like you.
Well, I didn't like me either.
I loved you. I thought you were great.
No, I thought on pre and post game shows, I just
Post game,
I've-
it's a little late in the evening. Get a
a
little
smaller
tired.
scale.
yeah,
I've,
well,
I've
the
done
old
a few
deal
of those
it's
myself.
like, well, pre-game show is this. Okay, this is what we think we're going to see. This is how we're going to see it. And, of course, it never happens. And then after the game, this is what we saw, and this is what we thought we'd see.
I like the whole, hey, Jerry, what do you think? What do they need to do tonight, Jerry? And then you get to map that out.
You know what they need to do?
If they don't,
I'll never forget, protect the pumpkin.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is the name I thought this show should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Value the ball. Protect the pumpkin.
Protect the pumpkin.
Prize the pumpkin.
Yeah.
And if they lose after the game, you go, well, they didn't protect the pumpkin.
No.
That's all I have to say. I did my business. Yeah.
Well, half the time, I mean, you know, at the end of it, you're always saying, okay, this team won 98-94. Okay. Well, obviously they scored more points.
Yeah,
now,
that's okay. That's a good start.
So you can't, but you can't say that. See, you have to be tricky.
Unless you want to be funny.
The reason this other team won because this team had 3 more turnovers, and they shot. The other team shot a little better from the 3-point line. I mean, you can always find the jibber jabber to make it work out that the one team actually just scored more points.
You're taking the numbers to fit your narrative.
That's exactly right.
That's what
What would you guys say, though, is the number one thing that impacts the outcome of an NBA game that maybe most of us aren't aware of? Because as you're talking about it, turnovers are huge, and we don't look at that free throw numbers. But is there one thing that really first thing you'd look at in a box score, for example, that maybe most of us aren't really aware of? Is there anything?
I do think actually 2 things that I think. I mean, turnovers. Because that's possessions.
Yeah,
possession. You don't get an extra opportunity.
Giving them extra chances. Yeah,
and defensive rebounds because everybody's always talking about not just rebound but defensive rebound because last I checked you can't run. Everybody said we got to run more. Well, how much you going to run if you don't get a defensive rebound? Well, 0
right.
The number.
If they make the basket.
Yeah.
So and it's like, well, how much you going to run if you're taking the ball out of bounds after somebody makes one? Well,
it happens, but it's rare.
It's very rare. It takes incompetence on the other team, getting back on defense,
which we're familiar with too.
I mean, that. I mean, and I think on a real, for me, I guess, truly old school view, I always say in close games, in the last 5 minutes of the game, it's who plays 5-on-5 the best in the half court.
Really?
Always has been, always will be, and people can talk about, who can run the ball, run schmun. The Golden State Warriors are terrific in the half court and 5-on-5 because that's how you're going to have to play because you're good teams will make you play 5-on-5.
That's the way my buddy Naismith designed it. Well, he had 12-on-12.
Well, it's 12-on-12.
Same thing, yeah.
Jerry was very, very he was very harsh when it came to Mr. Naismith.
Yes, he was.
Episode.
I remember that. Yeah. The thing I like to look at is it probably doesn't have a determinant on the outcome as much as I like to look at the number of assists. Because that tells me which team I think is playing the team game. In my mind, that's the team that's playing that team game.
Assists,
schmuns.
But I would even add,
okay.
But
maybe
I think
we leave those to Jerry.
I think equally important would be assist to turnover rate.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just like with point guards. I mean, when somebody said, well, he's getting 7 assists a game. Well, if he's getting 3 turnovers, that's not good.
It's not working
if he's
for
getting,
I know.
If it's a John Stockton, he's getting 9 assists and 1 turnover.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Isaiah Thomas and the original Isaiah Thomas, great point guards.
It's just the math
turnover ratio.
Yeah, it's just the math of it. It's like, I'm playing Yahtzee and the turnovers, you're giving the guy extra turns.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You can't win that way.
That's what I think about all the time.
Yeah.
When I'm playing Yahtzee.
One thing, and of course you guys are right on it, but one thing that I think you're overlooking, the importance of screen assists.
Oh, geez.
He
had to come back to that.
He's kind of built a little credibility today by bringing me down. And then he comes back in with that. I don't know who's
It's a joke. We're kidding.
I don't know who's directing him, but
kidding around here.
Great job,
I just got to notice Robert Sarver got the owner of the Suns got suspended for a hostile workplace. So I don't know if we need to talk much about that.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling that way right now. It's a little bit.
Who are you suspended, him or me?
Well,
that's what I thought.
He was the one that came after Reggie
he
Miller.
He pointed right at you.
Okay,
Come on, he knows.
Okay, all right.
I will say this though. Last night I was watching the football game. It was a pretty good football game, but it's it's football, not basketball. So my mind started to wander. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I realized this: if you took every player ever played with your first name and you made a team out of those guys.
Okay.
Every player ever played in the NBA with your first name, and then every player ever played with my first name.
Okay.
We have a tournament. You guys
would
don't
win.
have a chance.
Yeah, you would win.
It is all over.
Yeah,
I mean, you got
yeah.
Jerry Seasting, you got Mark Allery, and
I got Mark Price, dude. I got
Mark
Mark Price and
Yeah.
Mark Oberding.
Mark
Are you
Oberding?
kidding me?
Uh-huh.
And Mark Aguirre. Back off, Mark McNamara.
Mark Akers.
Oh, well,
Well,
I mean, you
how
only go
about-
so deep.
How about I would have?
You would have you.
I would have, well, no, I'd have the Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, the
Jerry
other Jerry
Ice
Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Yes.
I'd have Jerry Lucas.
Yes, you would.
Jerry West.
Yeah.
Jerry
yeah.
West.
Maybe he'd have a kind of a good ball club.
Jerry Stackhouse probably
Jerry
be starting.
Jerry
Stackhouse would
Stackhouse.
start for him. Yeah, absolutely.
Starting a little better, look a little better anyway.
I tell you might be lucky to come in third.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're taking stones
Yeah.
too.
Kevin Martin ain't even making my team.
Well, that's bad coaching right there. That's pretty bad coaching.
Kevin Willis, KG, KD,
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Kevin Duckworth.
Okay. all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, the duck.
Kevin Dockery. Is that right?
Kevin.
I just invented a guy,
Dockery?
Kevin Dockery.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. Kevin Lockery's sounded like
Kevin Lockery.
Kevin Lockery.
Kevin
There-
Docker. Is it you mean Kevin Locker?
I don't know.
Yeah, Kevin
name came into my mind. I don't know. Stones, look up Kevin Dockery for me.
Kevin Docker.
I think he's
No.
probably a guy.
Is that
No, I don't think
Dockery?
I'm not sure of the spelling. I'll have
Yeah.
to check that.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you.
Kevin Lockery. Okay.
Yeah.
He was a good
He
player.
was a good player.
Good
coach.
Was it Bullet?
for a
Was it
while, yeah.
Bullet?
Bullet.
Yeah.
I think he's a bullet.
The Baltimore Bullets?
Played with he played
Sixers.
with Monroe, for a while.
Yeah, I think he was on the Sixer team that went 9-73. I think Kevin
man.
Locker was on that.
Yeah, I think
not
he
a good
was.
squad.
That was
Yeah.
not a very good team.
Not
a
really
very
a
good-
good team. No, no.
Tom Van Arsdale was on that team
Ah.
as like a rookie or second-year player.
Wow.
something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Van Arsdale boys.
9 and 7.
Speaking of the great
Wow.
players named Kevin,
Speaking of him,
yeah, KD back in the news a little bit. Can you guys explain something to me? You explained so much to me.
yes, we do.
All right. So first of all, I don't know, why this is in Rolling Stone, but that's fine. So there's an interview with Steph, and Steph Curry says, "Oh yeah, we considered trading for KD, and I think it'd be great." And all of a sudden, that's like, "Oh, did you hear what Steph Curry said?" Well, it's Kevin Durant, right? It'd
Yeah,
be like, Phantom, would you consider having a banana split? Yeah, I'd consider.
I'd consider
Whoa!
it. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's hardly news is all I'm saying. It's, that's mildly
Yeah.
interesting, but you knew that happened, right? And you know
Right.
that Steph is all about winning now. He doesn't care about what happens when he retires. He'd love for the Warriors to do well, but he doesn't care. He's trying to win as many as he can now. So, of course, he would love to play with Kevin Durant again, right? It's pretty
Right.
simple.
But that's the thing. That's not news. That's something that might have happened. So they spend a bunch of time on the talk shows and on these shows talking about something that might have happened, which didn't happen. So why are we worrying about
But
it?
the fact that they discussed it to me is like, of course they did.
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, that's like saying, Steph, would you be interested in having LeBron James traded to the Warriors? What would Steph? Oh, no, we don't want LeBron.
No, you think about it when you Steph.
Well, of
Yeah,
course
we
you
think about
would.
it. Sure, we would.
I mean,
Yeah.
Steph is sad. I mean, he is comfortable in his own skin and
Yeah, he
skills
is, yeah.
and all that, and it's pretty clear he's proven that over the years.
Yeah, he
So,
doesn't have a lot left to
I mean,
prove.
He's kind of the Reggie Miller of his day.
Would he
No,
say
it's
the
4
same thing
titles,
about
yeah.
Luka Doncic?
Yeah,
Steph
yeah.
would say, well, sure, I'd love to play with Luka, young guy, good for the franchise going forward.
Right.
And I might have to give up a little something, which he's proven he can do and willing to do
Yeah.
in order to
In
win.
his game,
I
yeah.
mean, that stuff just bugs me. That's like the New York Knicks always going to get this guy or that
Right.
guy and never do.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Lockery, the golfer. Sure. Yeah, that's
But
what
you
I
said Dockery.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Doc. Yeah, Doc.
Well, he
look up Docker.
he probably played golf too.
Yeah, well,
but-
I guess my guy doesn't exist, so it's going to be kind of hard for Stone to look him up.
I don't know that I ever got in an actual fight, and I don't miss the days when players used to fight. I know when, the 70s it happened all the time, so I don't miss that. But at least then guys would fight each other.
Yes.
And now you have guys go at each other on Twitter, and it just almost makes me miss the days when it's like, hey, let's go. Let's throw hands.
If we have a
'Cause at
problem,
least then-
let's settle the problem.
Yes.
Okay, let's don't tweet at each other and then put those googly eyes in there and go, what does that actually mean? Oh, I don't know. Put a shrug emoji. Come on.
Yeah.
Be a man. Call him out. Go fight.
Yeah, I mean, really. Really,
But-
go redden somebody's nose and get on with it.
Yeah.
How would like a John Brisker or somebody like
Yeah,
that, Jerry?
yeah.
They're not going to go on Twitter and try to fight somebody. Come on.
Well, I always remember the Brisker. I always remember the Brisker story with Bill Russell. He coached him in Seattle, and he said Brisker was, definitely one of those guys that you wouldn't want to be friends with or whatever.
Certainly enemies.
But anyway, Brisker, he wasn't playing Brisker, and Brisker said, went to him and said, Russ, you do know I've got a gun in my locker. And Russ said, well, I don't know if you know this, John, but they sell guns a lot of places. And so I have access to one,
I'm packing as well, Mr. Brisker.
Supposedly he was a mercenary in Africa, and he died.
Yes.
John Brisker.
Mysterious circumstances.
Yeah.
But my point being is the tough men back in the day, they're not going to social media to carry on their affairs.
Yeah.
They're just going, you meet me in the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
Didn't he? I think it was him when they in the ABA they had a jump ball and he had a problem with the guy already. So the jump ball was looking up and he just punched the other guy and knocked him out. I mean, that's the way John.
That's the way.
And he goes, when he go, oh, did he get any likes or retweets on that? No, we didn't worry about that.
Well, I always remember too Willis Reed telling me that Rudy LaRusso.
Rudy LaRusso.
I know the name.
Yes,
yeah.
He said forward.
He thought he was a dirty player, and he probably was. And he said, I said, well, what did you do about it? I said, well, I waited. I said, we was running down the court, so I just knocked him out.
There you go. There you go. He didn't DM him. Knocked him out. Yeah.
He TK'd him.
Yeah.
Just
knocked him out.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Probably that was easier to do when you had two or maybe even then, I don't know, one official, right? Cause,
You just had two. Yeah.
And everybody else probably hated Rudy.
Well, they
too.
did. I always remember the time that Robert Parrish slugged Bill Lambier and wanted him kicked out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the 80s.
It wasn't even a flagrant two.
No. It was just like, okay, separate them. Lambier.
But now they'd go
because everybody knew that Lambier needed hit.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
He needed hit.
The league-wide mandate said punch Bill Lambier any chance you get.
Well, and
but now they go to the video and look at it for half an hour.
And you see guys, you go back through the years. I mean, my God, there was, every game there'd be 2 or 3 incidents where they'd be kicked out for 10 games.
Yes, they wouldn't have a league.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that Commissioner Stern did a great job of cleaning up the fighting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something in my head.
But they needed it, right? I mean, all kidding aside, after what happened between
Tom Jonovich and Kermit.
Well, but also with Ron
Artest,
Alice in the Palace.
Alice in the
Once
Palace.
you get potentially fans involved, no, we got to put a stop to this.
And they keep bringing the fans close. We talk about this all the time. They keep bringing the fans closer and closer. When you get off your bench and you want to go check in, and you have to pass 5 fans on the way, you're sitting closer.
Yeah,
that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
at some point, it's going to be.
At some point, yeah, I agree. And,
the old
no, I know that's exactly right.
Well,
but
the
still.
old Arco, I used to, before I was doing TV, I'd sit at the end zone there, right?
Anyway. Is this when you're GM or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or player personnel or I wouldn't, like say I wasn't doing TV full time or whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, my point is that then you'd have the cameramen on the court, and it wasn't really a legitimate space anyway.
No, not at all.
And the girls and the ladies schlepping drinks, they'd have to run out
almost on the. Yeah.
They would be on the court.
Yeah.
They'd be inside the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like say, it's amazing. None of them were ever hit because they'd, obviously the game would be on the other end, and they'd be run out there and schlep drinks on the court. It's like, now, are you asking for problems or what? And I just was amazed. It's like, when is somebody going to be on a fast break and whambo one of those ladies and hurt them bad and knock drinks all over? I was thinking about myself.
Yeah,
think about
the drinks more. Yeah,
I call
whambo.
They'd say,
sports code.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was. And I remember the referees always tell me, he said, a lot of times, one of the routes they're supposed to run baseline, but in Sacramento we wouldn't do that.
Not room.
Yeah. And so that really affects, obviously, what you can see.
Yeah. The early days of the second Arco, and I know you were – I think you took me once to the old building. But even the second Arco, we used to be media – you'd have the media row, you'd have the table, scores table, and then you'd have the media behind the opposing bench.
Behind the bench, right.
Which was great,
right.
The things you got to see and hear, like Don Nelson yelling at Ralph Sampson, "You weren't even looking at the basket." But then at some point after a few years,
AAU dad you ever heard.
I understand it, but they decided we can sell those, so you guys are upstairs, which was unfortunate, but I get it. But yeah, originally you had media there, and if you look at old, to your point, you go back, look at on Hardwood Classics or something, there's very few people under the basket for the
you got all kinds of space.
They realize, well, that'd be dumb to put people there.
Yeah, because they're running. Yeah. But they have the smoke over everybody, so they couldn't really see anyway.
Well, but they say, it's like say it'd be dumb to put people because it's dangerous to
exactly.
players.
Yeah.
And then they say, but we make a lot of money.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
well, a little danger's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
A little danger.
And then a little more danger and more danger, and now there's guys in the stands closer to the game than the players.
Well, they used to, I always feel sorry for Gary Gerald because as a radio broadcaster, they used to be on the floor like with TV or near the floor.
Yeah.
Now every radio is up.
Yeah.
And to where,
because they decided Radio Schmadio.
Yeah. Radio
absolutely.
Schmadio.
I love that. I think that's a Queen song.
And it's getting pretty close to the same way with TV. It could be TV Schmadio.
No, TV.
Because
what would it be? TV, BP. What would you
go ahead?
Well, local.
You open the door, you step on
local
fire.
Local TV is more and more, or visiting TV are put up more and more. Probably half the arenas now. Now the national team,
of course,
be on the floor.
When your buddies the Van Gundy's come
Van
down,
Gundy's come in there. They get preferential.
Yeah.
Anyway, but actually, I like Stan on TV better than Jeff. But
really?
They both add something. Jeff's a little spends too much time worrying about rules.
I hate that.
They ought to get rid of this. They ought to get rid of that. Well, but they're not going to.
Both.
So
he wants to get rid of all
the
rules.
So tell me what happened on that last play.
I don't know. I'm trying to get the rule repealed.
Local guys from Martinez, right? Love the game, obviously. What can you tell us? What really happened with Stan before he became the coach of Orlando? He interviewed with the Kings, and then it seems to me like basically what he did was he took his offer from the Kings, went to the Kinkos, faxed it to Orlando, and said
as leverage.
Can you? Yeah. This is the offer. Can you beat it? And you probably know more than you can share here. Is that basically how that went down?
That's basically how it went down. I don't know that it was say match this or do better. I think it was a case of they had sent him an offer that was better.
Oh, okay.
And he so he did go to Kinko's while he was in Sacramento, which I know he'd been to Indiana before, and they thought Mr. Bird and company thought they were going to hire.
Nice shirt you have today.
There you go. Yeah,
French Lick, Indiana home of Larry Bird.
Yeah, well,
and Jerry Reynolds.
I'll use this.
That's where I'd put it.
Maybe a Sharpie to put that in there.
Did Larry get anything for those shirts that they made? Probably not, huh?
I don't care. Really.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what are we worried about? He's got money. What do you care
Jesus
about?
Christ.
Business manager?
Should I send him $1? What the hell?
I'm saying. They probably sell a lot of those shirts, and Larry gets nothing for it.
What do you care?
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought you might.
That's
true.
why I know that. Can we place a call to him right now?
Let me explain. I got a free damn shirt. I'm wearing it. Okay? That's all I know.
Sorry, you were in the middle of a story. About
wow.
Yeah,
one of the various Van Gundy's.
Yeah, you really interrupted it. But you asked me the question, then he interrupts it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I did.
You've been on his side today a lot. So
wow. Okay, well, anyway, if I'm allowed to finish, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Please.
He would been to Indiana, and they were going to hire him.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, I'm committed to go to Sacramento as well. And so he did, and basically stiffed both because he got a better, in his mind, a better offer, which I guess some people might do the same thing, but both parties, both Mr. Bird and Mr. Petrie, do not have fond memories of Stan Van Gundy.
You're familiar with both those gentlemen.
Yeah. I am.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you know what you're talking about.
And I've heard both say that they did not see him as a wonderful gentleman or something to that effect.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would love to have an up-close personal conversation with him at some point.
Even now, even today.
So Jeff Petrie, Larry Bird are definitely more Jeff than Stan guys. We could say that.
More Jeff than Stan.
Yeah.
More.
And two fine shooters, those two guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Both.
Yeah.
Jeff Petrie, no injuries, would have been a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Here's one thing I remember about Stan. Tell me if I'm giving him too much credit, but that Orlando team, I remember 2007 Media Day. You were there, and I remember you used to go to Media Day, and I'd end up talking to Jerry for like an hour and a half.
That's all we did,
Yeah, it was great. You and also Coach Abeta Marco was there that day, and I was asking you guys, I'd just been reading about the dribble drive motion, which is 3 in the key. And I was asking you guys that day, 2007, hey, could that ever work in the NBA? And I remember saying, the three-point shot is so much longer. I don't think so. And you said, oh, yeah, that really could. Well, isn't that what Stan brought into that 2009 Orlando team? Weren't they basically a three or in the key, kind of a dribble drive motion team?
Well, yeah, they were. I mean, I think actually Nelly maybe is one of the first to actually do it with some level of consistency, but at least in the NBA as far as I knew. But I thought with Orlando, it's probably even ahead of another version that was ahead of the league a little bit, was basically a 4-out.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
with Dwight Howard in there.
And Dwight Howard because, you needed to spread it so he couldn't be doubled.
Yeah. So Jameer Nelson, Pietrus, right, and then Hito and
Richard Lewis.
Yeah.
I always say too, and they are the first team that I recall having, in effect, no really true power forward or true small forward.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Both Richard and Hito were 3.5. Mm-hmm. They were comfortable guarding 3s or 4s or having, and of course 4s, the normal power forward at that time couldn't guard either one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they both deep shooters, could play off the bounce and everything. Hito better than Lewis, but yeah, I thought Stan did a marvelous coaching job. And of course if he'd have quit right then, he might have been a Hall of Famer. But he ran into some, got a lot of money for not doing nearly as well different places. But, anyway.
Yeah, just think 4-out, 1 in. Fan of how Reggie Miller would have done in that kind of offense.
I don't think he would have done as well personally. It depends on the one. You mentioned Jameer Nelson. Now that there's an under 6-footer that was really good.
Really good.
Remember
really good.
Nelson, yeah.
Well, I was doing the King's Herald podcast the other day, and we were talking about this, and people saying, well, how could you play De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell together? I said, well, easy, put them on the floor is how you do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously you were a coach.
But they said, well, that'd be a small guard. Yeah, I would. I said, not near as small as Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, and they won a world championship.
They did.
I mean,
it is a little bit rare, though, right?
I think it's less
Detroit
rare.
with Dumars and Isaiah Thomas. I think Portland in '77 they have Bobby. No, they had
Lionel Hollins.
Yeah.
Well,
Lionel
but
Hollins,
I mean, even recently, Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, that's smaller.
Mm-hmm.
That's smaller, and they had won 60 games one year.
Yeah.
The talent of the small guy is important. If
the
the small guy is super talented, like an Isaiah Thomas, you can kind of go ahead. You can adjust it.
Well, I mean, I always come down to this. I mean, it's like, I'm not saying you could do it 48 minutes every game. I'm not saying that. But can you do that? Sure, a lot. Primarily because, yes, you'd have a tough time matching up with some bigger guards occasionally. They'd have trouble matching up with you every game.
Mm-hmm.
Every game.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be
bigger than he is too?
The biggest adjustment in that, wouldn't that be Mitchell, because he's going to have to play off the ball more, most likely? And
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I mean, in other words, that may be the way it work out, but he shouldn't. He should be the point guard at De'Aaron the off guard.
Really?
Absolutely.
De'Aaron's
a scorer.
Yeah?
He's a scorer. I mean, when have you seen great playmaking skills?
But he can't shoot, so I'm assuming he's got to do one or the other.
Well,
although he shot the ball better.
Well, that's why I thought he and Halliburton would be good together. Because I thought that same thing would apply. But I guess we were both wrong on that.
Well,
or maybe they could just use him to get somebody that.
I just think here's what I think, and the reason I think it'd work is because of neither. It's because of Sabonis. You got your playmaker.
Yeah.
He just ain't a point guard. Now, both Fox and Davion aren't true playmakers per se, but they're 1.5 at worst.
I remember we used to tell us about it. People wonder, who's the point guard, Bibby or Christie? And you'd say, it's neither one of them. It's Weber, right?
Yeah,
It's
Weber and Divac. I mean, on that, and that's a great. I'm glad you brought that up, because if there was a playmaker between the two, Bibby and Christie, it's more Christie. Mm-hmm. It was one of those things to where basically Christie he'd guard the twos, but he'd really allow Bibby to be the shooter, the off the ball shooter.
Yeah,
and that was where Bibby was his best, and that's why probably the Jay Will trade was made, just for that reason. Yeah, and made sense.
Yeah,
and I always say that Christie could guard the twos and Bibby could not guard the ones, and so that worked out very well.
Yeah. Positionless basketball, Mr. Basketball. That's kind of
Well, yeah, Christie would bring the ball up court, and it doesn't matter who brought it up court, because it just started when they got the ball into one of the big guys. Well, that's when the offense actually started, right?
Yeah. Well, I always said that maybe one of the best guard lines in history was probably Danny Ainge and Dennis Johnson, and neither one were true points, but they both could play point, and they both could play two, and they both could guard two positions.
And they had good size.
They were guards.
To the point, they had good
size.
size.
They were guards, and I think it's a little bit.
Wasn't it Quinn Buckner before Dennis Johnson on that team?
He was on the team. He didn't play much.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I can tell you why.
He was a good defensive player.
Why?
Yeah.
Just not a lot better.
Oh, okay.
He's a lot better.
Okay. All right. That's good then.
Yeah. Bano, how much do you think Larry Bird gets for that shirt? You think he gets anything?
I don't know that Larry. And if he does, I'm sure he donates.
No, I got to tell you, I gave Larry personally. I wrote a personal check, $150,000 for this freaking shirt.
So you
bought
the
make
whole
you
line
happy?
out.
I feel much better.
What he gets fixated on, I just don't understand it. Yeah. All of a sudden, we got to get Larry Bird money for a T-shirt that was made in some guy's back room.
Let's put it this way: I need the free T-shirt worse more.
I understand that.
Than Larry needs money for this shirt.
Yeah. I thought you and Larry were friends, and I was trying to look out for your friend.
Are.
It turns out
if they are, then Larry would let him have the shirt for nothing.
I guess financially he's doing okay.
And I would say if
the whole Van Gundy thing still rankles him.
If he needs money for this T-shirt, I will give him money for this T-shirt.
Yeah.
I would.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Right.
So it's out there. The offer's out there.
Offer's out there.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up this way today. Old Fashioned 3. Old Fashioned 3 is Jerry, Phantom, and me, Whitey G. Talking about players from A to Z.
Okay.
So let's start today.
All right.
Those are A players.
Okay.
And we can each name an A player for whatever reason. Greatest player I ever saw. Worst player I ever saw. I'll never forget he did this.
Wow.
Never recognized for that. Who would be your A player? You want to start, Phantom?
I'll start
because
it's for none of those reasons except when you say A player, I always say Ala Abdul Nabi.
Okay.
He spent some time here with the Kings, and I know that Jerry ran into him, so I thought he's a good guy to throw out there.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Did he make an impression on you?
Yeah. He's a quite good announcer.
Yeah.
For Philadelphia 76ers, I think he does a nice job. And always very, very witty, maybe to a fault. I think his career, he could have been a really good player, but maybe outsmarted himself a lot, and he'd be the first to tell you that. I mean, he wasn't just as focused as you, but had a lot of skill. Was probably a little underachiever at Duke, a little underachiever in the NBA, but a bright guy. I always call him, the greatest Egyptian in history. Obviously, if they had a Hall of Fame,
I mean, there were some pharaohs that were okay. Yeah,
well, I mean, he's the very best Egyptian player to ever play.
That's okay. Yeah.
Right.
Basketball.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The NBA Egyptian, I call it.
So I always told him, I said, whatever career you had, you still have that.
Yeah.
You're the very best ever.
Egyptian in the NBA.
I got a funny story about him. I was doing a show with John Dickinson at the game in San Francisco, and JD lived here for a long time, and he remembered a story about Ala Abdel Nabi and Gary St. Jean. And the story goes that Saint basically kicked him out of practice and cut him. So we were interviewing Saint. The two of us were interviewing Gary St. Jean, who, as you know, is a great guy. And when I mentioned you to him, he's like, "Oh, Jerry's so funny." So anyway, he says, you guys, you remember things better than I do. What supposedly happened? And you look it up. The way it was reported is Ala Abdel Nabi was doing something that they didn't like in practice.
Yeah.
And Saint says, "That's it, you're gone." And because Saint was a GM too, right? Or was he the?
No, just coach.
Okay, just coach. Yeah. And he sent him on his way, and it's like, "You're off. You're done." Yeah.
He cut him.
Yeah.
Not just you're out of practice.
Yeah. So we tell the story, and Saint's like, Allah, what a good guy, and he's a great announcer, as you said. And he goes, but if it went down the way you guys describe it, I'm okay with that. So he didn't say it didn't happen.
No, he kind of owned up to it, even if it did happen.
Yeah. How about you got an A guy for us? Any which way you want to go?
I would say Randy Allen.
What?
Randy Allen.
The legend Randy Allen?
See, you guys don't know him at all.
Yes, we do.
We met him in the parking lot one time.
Okay.
We saw him, and
I told him to go into the office and do something. He goes, okay, and he ran away and he did it.
Yeah,
so
normally you see a play and you say, it's your player, you say his name and they just walk on. And so we're in the parking lot, and Fan goes, hey, it's Randy Allen. He stops, he goes, yeah? What do you guys need?
You need a ride?
Oh, sorry, we're good. So, see, we actually met him once.
Yes, we did.
Well, I was going to say, really a good guy, and I really enjoyed my time with him. But there was always, it was so interesting because he was one of those kind of 10-day guys, or maybe 1-year deal minimum, whatever. A 6'8", 220-pound center. center.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the days of centers.
Yeah.
And I think I've told you this story, but I always will never forget playing the Indiana Pacers, and we were playing Rick Schmitz. 7'3", 7'4", whatever he was.
And he was Dutch, so he played in wooden shoes, and he would have been a lot better.
He did not have to play in wooden shoes, but he was quite good.
I read that somewhere.
But anyway, we had Randy, our center at that time. We had injuries, and so we were a little thin.
A little thin in the center spot.
I always said that was kind of we always had some pretty good players, but when you got injuries, the Kings roster then really disseminated. The idea of a so-called six-man was not even a dream.
No.
And Mr. Basketball pointed out earlier, you guys always had a bunch of size. They were terrible players, but you typically had size, but not in this case. Huh?
No, in this case, he was
he was terrible, but he had no
6'8",
size. Yeah.
And I always remember one of the most vivid memories in my life was we were playing the Pacers, and I don't know how the game was going, but I looked down on the other end of the floor, and there was Rick Schmitz calling for the ball. And I said, my God, I turned to my assistant. I only had one assistant, One assistant. My God, we don't have anybody else.
Guarded 7'4"
Who is
guy?
guarding him? And because didn't see anybody. Then all of a sudden you saw two little arms sticking. I mean, it looked like it was sticking out right by Rick Schmitz.
I'd have been coming out of his
Schmitz,
waist.
hands were up here, and they were by his waist.
That's good coaching.
And I told assistant, I said, my God, there's our center. I think we're in trouble.
So what do you tell? You say, hey, you got to front him, or
you said you got to front him so same problem.
So I can see you.
It makes
at
no
least
difference.
we know you're there.
At least we know you're on the floor. I thought we only had 4 guys.
Well,
Come on.
I mean, the only chance you had, if you want to get it, is yes, you try to front him long enough to where you get help because if you had no help, you had no chance.
Yeah.
And
0
7'4",
chance.
yeah.
And it didn't matter what you did because Reggie Miller was probably on that team.
And Reggie Miller was on that team.
Yeah.
And, of course, obviously would make all the big shots.
Yeah,
but,
obviously. I can't imagine there are any big shots in the game if you're playing Randy Allen at center. I think that's over by halftime.
Well, it was a concern going in, Phantom.
I
know you might not believe this, but even I had some real concerns that would be a problem for us.
When you did your chalk talk before the game, did you kind of go, well, we're a little light right here, maybe?
It'd be one of those things. Yeah, this is what we're, and you see guys rolling their eyes. It's like,
So you were ahead of your time because you went with the small ball center before anybody else.
Yeah, see, if in today's game, it would have worked better. Don't get me wrong. It wouldn't have worked.
Not with Randy Allen today.
It wouldn't have. He was just about the same size as Draymond Green. So if the size thing.
Ahead of your time. Yeah.
So you had the blueprint right there. Yeah. Okay, well done.
I had a lot of blueprints. Just,
nobody ever executed.
Just no construction money behind it.
No, you had no hard hats or anything. You didn't have anything going on.
Yeah.
All right, mister. What do you got?
I would go with Kyle Anderson because one of my favorite stories about Kyle Anderson was told me by my nephew, your youngest son, Zach.
Yeah.
And Zach played a little college basketball for the Green Valley Sledgehammers
Green
or whatever they were.
Green
Mountain College.
And
a really good player.
And the Knox Prairie Fire as well.
There you go.
Down in the
Was that
Midwest.
seriously? Was that Division
3?
Division 3.
Green
So he's a really good player.
NAIA.
Yeah. But one time, Jerry, I got to tell you, we're playing pickup, and it was me and Kyle, his other son, who played high school basketball, and some guy in flip-flops.
Oh, yeah.
Zach, who played Division III, and Phantom, and another one of Zach's friends who played high school basketball. And we beat him. With a guy in flip-flops, we actually beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that your whole story?
No. But
wow, Jerry, I'll tell you.
Yeah. How
Maybe
about
we
that?
need to get somebody else to run the show to keep him on track.
Zach told me that he was at, I guess it was a Kings game. They're playing the Spurs at the time, and he saw Kyle Anderson, and he's yelling, "This is Phantom's son. Where did he get it?" I wonder. Hey, Kyle Anderson. Hey, Kyle Anderson. And he actually looks up, and Zach says, "You can't shoot." Right?
Yeah. Hey, he's a scout. Now he's a scout for an NBA team because they got him off of that. Yeah. You can't
I think
shoot.
Kyle Anderson just kind of shook his head, but he's carved out a really nice. Did he go to Minnesota now?
I think he's Minnesota now.
Yeah.
I think.
He's a nut.
What is he? They call him slow motion or something
Slow-mo.
like that? Yeah. Because he moves.
No, he's a good player.
Yeah, I like him. I liked him at UCLA. He's
I
good.
think he's a guy, you can put on your roster. I mean, obviously you probably like to have him 7th, 8th man, but I think he can help you. Smart, skilled.
I put him in front of Rick Smits. Yeah,
he's just like I always used to call Brad Miller the human knuckleball.
Because
well, basically,
exactly
the thing that Brad had going for him, much like Slow-Mo, is defensively he's hard to guard because he's slower than you think.
You know what that seems like, Jerry?
The defenders would say, "Boy, he's slow." But then he's slower than you think, and then he's able to get by.
You're right. It's like a pitcher, a position player comes in and he's throwing like 40 miles an hour, and the hitters are just flailing.
They're just not ready
it's
for
too
it.
slow. He's throwing it too slow.
Brad was highly skilled, like Slow-Mo. But like I say, I think defensively it really created problems because guys were used to guarding like guys that are fast.
So they're guarding
and
making
fairly
their
athletic, And Brad did boop-a-doop-a-doop.
That was his nickname, right? Boop-a-doop?
Yeah. Well, he was really good.
Oh, he was
Brad
great.
Miller was terrific.
Really good guy. Really
good
nice guy.
And
King,
an all-star in the East, all-star in the West. And wasn't drafted out of college.
Got into a fight with Shaq?
He ran from Shaq, but that was...
So he was smart, too.
Very smart.
Very
smart.
He didn't run very fast. That's the problem.
No. I mean, good thing.
You watched a lot more basketball, obviously, than I will ever dream of watching, but I never have seen a player get his shot blocked as often as Brad Miller.
Yeah, no, it was hard not to sometimes. I mean, I always say, especially in the post. I mean, when 6'2" guards are coming from the top of the key to block it.
Yeah.
It's like whoopty,
getting their block stats up there. Yeah.
Well, and yet he still was a freaking
he was an all-star.
Legitimate all-star.
Well, that was like I did a joke once on Lionel Simmons, who got a shot block. He was a really good player as a young before he got all the injuries. But he, he'd pump fake and he'd get a lot of shots blocked. Now he'd score a lot too. So I took a basketball and I put a fake hand on top of it and glued it there. I said, Lionel, just go practice with this.
And did he love you for it?
He got a kick out. He was a good guy. I said, save a lot of the energy here.
Yeah.
Get used to
this. Is what's having a guy on the ball.
Yeah.
Could you maybe do some curls? Yeah.
Because that hand's going to be there most of the time.
Yeah,
so,
he's part of that 4 rookie class that kind of revitalized the Kings back in the day. Yeah.
Well, didn't revitalize them, but
yeah. Well, I mean, Anthony Bonner, Dwayne Coswell, Travis Mays.
Yeah.
I mean,
the only coach GM in the NBA who had his own props department.
He did.
Yeah.
Like Carrot Top on the sideline.
Hey,
here you go, huh?
But I always did that in college too. I think a lot of times guys get the message better in a. It's like.
No, I love it.
It's one of those things that at some point it's like, well, Lionel, you got a problem here.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to tell him, and he knows it. And his teammates know it. And of course, I made sure that I gave him the ball when. The teammates were around.
Of course,
So
they wouldn't want to do that in private. No, that would be.
And so it kind of hits home a little better.
Yeah,
right.
That would be too empathetic if you did it in private. You want to go ahead and give it to him when everybody's around to make fun of him. Yeah. What a guy! What a guy!
Hey, Mr. Basketball, what do you think? Any closing thoughts here as we wrap
No closing thoughts at all.
Did you learn anything?
I was probably about 70% today. I was 7-3.
What?
I won some. I lost some. I don't know. Still don't know who Kevin Dockery is.
Kevin Dockery was interesting. Yeah, but we got you off to a rough start. You're ready to go here.
I had a wonderful time.
Reggie Miller.
It was fantastic. I had a great time. Lionel Simmons. I loved Lionel Simmons, but he didn't have a lot of hops. I think was
zero hops.
No hops. Yeah,
but tough Buckaroo boy.
Tough Buckaroo. Yeah.
Who's the toughest Buckaroo you ever coached?
Oh, that's a great question.
We can save it till next week.
I can't wait till next week. Come on, are you nuts? That's a great question.
That is a great question. Geez. It might be Reggie Thiz.
Really?
There you go.
I mean, Reggie was everybody just Reggie,
pretty boy. Yeah.
Reggie. Well,
that's what we thought.
I didn't coach Mitch, so I traded for him, but I didn't coach him. I would have said Mitch Richmond.
That's a tough Buckaroo right there. Yeah,
that is. Yeah, everybody in the league, didn't mess with him, including Jordan. Mm-hmm. Everybody always say that's the thing I loved about Mitch. Guys that knock him down. Oh, Mitch, you okay? You okay? I'll help you up here. And I was gonna say I always remember the time that Mitch, Olden Polnice about got into it, about something, and I thought Mitch was they're gonna fight, and I think Olden all of a sudden saw the severity of it.
Yeah.
And I mean his color diminished greatly. because he knew there was no potential.
I better
of a win.
diffuse this somehow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
I'll let it go this time.
But Olden was smart. I mean, he understood. It's just like everybody in the locker room knew. This ain't going to end well, Olden. You better.
And Olden had a pretty good size advantage in that matchup too.
Right? It really wouldn't have been for very long.
So you'd have been able to call that fight pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Not even
a lot of guys had a size advantage on Mike Tyson. How'd that work out?
For them, not well.
Not well.
No.
Yeah. Anyway,
right.
but Reggie was. I mean, Reggie just wouldn't take any stuff. I always said I wished. Really, that Reggie had a chance to coach DeMarcus Cousins.
Ooh.
Honestly, I think they might have worked out better for DeMarcus because I know that Reggie would have taken him on.
Yeah.
And which he needed. I mean, probably if there's ever a young player that needed, say, a Jerry Sloan or somebody like that, ultimate, that he needed confronted, and he just didn't get enough of that.
He got some of that from Coach Malone, right? That's my understanding. Coach
Malone
Malone would kick him out of practice.
Yeah,
some.
Yeah. No, I thought, I think eventually, well, anyway.
Yeah.
But I think probably needed, somebody that not would just kick him out, but might be scared to take him on.
Yeah.
And I mean, Reg would have. I mean, Reggie's ego was big enough. He was,
and he was like 6'8", right? I mean,
6'7", 6'8",
so he's a big guy.
220, and
didn't want to get that face hit though, because that's his Hollywood call.
Yeah.
He didn't want to.
Good looking man. Good looking man.
That's what I always said. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
He's better looking than Reggie Miller. I'll tell you that.
And we've come full circle.
And I'll tell you, and the last thing, Reggie never got a screen assist.
Oh.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the Old Fashioned 3.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.